Okay, so we are starting our Atlas of the Heart by Dr. Brene Brown series here. Highly recommend you get this book. I am not an affiliate or anything. I just think it is really worth your time if you are on a healing journey, and especially if you are somebody who has like a heart call on your life. If your ministry or your spiritual gifts has to do with having a heart for the brethren, for the world, for anything, this is going to be helpful, I think, for you. But we all need this. Okay, this is part of heart transformation work. So we will start with the places we go when things are uncertain or too much. That's where she starts, so that's where we will start. Remember, the book is our guide here. This is not any real Michelina original stuff coming at you. So the places that we go that she outlines: stress, overwhelm, anxiety, worry, avoidance, excitement, dread, fear, and vulnerability. Now, sort of a cheat sheet here, this lecture series. If you don't want to go through and read the entire book, I'm highlighting the important things, primarily the definitions, okay? And how to, which is some of her and some of me, actually. So maybe there is some Michelina original stuff in here. Deal with that. Okay, so the slides are going to look a little something like this. On the left, I want to define out based on what the book says. And on the right, I want to inform based on Dr. Brene Brown's expertise and my own expertise. Okay. And I, what is that expertise? I have a PhD in leadership. I have done a lot of studying on this, and I've also lived a lot of this out. I have practiced a lot of these modalities, and I am an identity and leadership coach, so I do a lot of this work. Places we go when things are uncertain or too much, very often stress and overwhelm. Okay, those are like pretty standard for most people. We get stressed really easily. Okay, stress has to do when we're looking at the situations around us and we cannot cope with it. Now, stress can take a lot of different forms, quite frankly. But when we feel that things are unsafe, uncontrollable, unpredictable, we feel like we are inadequate, we'll get stressed in our mind and in our body. The interesting thing, and you're going to see this a lot in the work here of this lecture series, the interesting thing is that some of these emotions are more mental, more cognitive, and some of them are more felt in the body. There is an inextricable link between the mind and the body. Okay. If you've done any work, you know that. If you haven't, it is true. You can go research it. I have done plenty of the research to know that your mind and your body are very closely related. You really have three brains: this one, your heart, and your gut. Okay. So mind, heart, and body all go together. So stress is one of those things that is more cognitive. Okay. You think I can't handle this, therefore you cannot handle it. That's what happens. Okay. According to Dr. Brene Brown and the research that she did. And so your stress levels, if you can expand your capacity and you can shift your mindset, you ain't gonna get as stressed. This is where peace starts coming in. Okay. You're not going to get as stressed because you're like, okay, well, there's nothing that I can't handle. Like, sure, I'm going through some stuff that might suck, but I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, so I will be okay. Right? That's how we go through it. And so, well, that's one of the ways we can go through it. It's not to say, like, hey, there's not a lot going on here. It's just to say, I see all the things going on, and these circumstances do not define me. That is a practice, it's a skill set, right? So, stress is something that we feel when we're overloaded and everything is beyond our capacity to handle it. So, what happens a lot of times is if we have stress and we do not deal with it, we do not acknowledge it, we will very quickly go into overwhelm, right? Overwhelm is this concept of a shutdown, basically. You've got too much going on, you can't handle it. It's so intense, You literally cannot function. You're so overwhelmed with your life, your body shuts down, right? And so what we do, like when this is why self-awareness work is super important. We have to get good at not lying to ourselves, right? Everybody's a liar to themselves all the time. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, it's fine. Oh, everything's fine. No, nothing is fine. Your life is a dumpster fire. Okay, please get honest with yourself. It'll do you a great service. I'll give you my own example. Yesterday, I was on my one of my coaching calls in my community, and they were like, "Hey, how are you?" And my first initial thing was, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm always fine." And then I was like, "You know what? No, I'm not a liar anymore. Okay, I don't lie about how I am." I was like, "You know what? I'm actually very discouraged right now. I'm like super discouraged. I'm working on it, but I'm just kind of discouraged right now." And that is fine. It's fine to be discouraged. That's great. We have to get good at naming our stuff, right? And this is the whole point of this lecture series, right? You have to be safe enough within yourself to admit where things feel stressful so that you don't go into overwhelm, right? So when things feel super out of your control, right? And most things are, quite frankly, you can start by prioritizing. Stress, this is one of the things I'm always doing with people is teaching them how to prioritize. You won't be stressed if you have a plan of attack. Prioritize. What's the most important thing? We do a lot of this in leadership work. There's a lot of different tools. There's a lot of different ways you can prioritize urgent, not urgent, this, that, the other. But at the end of the day, prioritize. You have got to learn the skill of prioritizing. You will be so much less stressed when you learn that skill. One, dealing with overwhelm. When you are in overwhelm, you have to get good at stepping back and practicing the pause. Hey, listen, I'm too overwhelmed right now. I can't deal with this. Give me a minute. Right? You want to communicate it, but hey, I need a minute. Got to table this, put a pin in it, time out, hold on. Right? Timeouts are great things. Timeout on real life can exist. Right? And so when you're overwhelmed in any situation, for the most part, you are not a captive there. And I feel we would do better to remember this. You're not really a captive most of the time. Even when you're at work, even when a customer's in your face, you reserve the right not to serve them. You reserve the right to walk away if it's getting heated. Like you forget perhaps the position that you have most of the time. Please do not come for me in the comments about, oh, well, what about this one time when this one thing happened? We're talking about the rule, not the exception. People love to play the exception game. More often than not, you're not it. Your point is not that. Okay. We're looking at rules. Are there some times where things are overwhelming and you cannot get away from it? Yes. This is children who've grown up in abusive households. They literally cannot get away from it. Okay, so yes, it does happen where you are trapped because of your circumstance. It does happen. Yes, it does. Okay. I am not talking to those people. I am talking to people who had to deal with that when they were growing up. But like this work that I do with the brethren is for reparenting. Okay, 25 and older. Your brain has to be fully developed before you can start moving into my stuff. Okay. And I don't mean that defensively or offensively. I just mean it to say this is reparenting work. And so, probably, yes, you have been in situations in your youth where you were overwhelmed and stressed, couldn't get away from it. A lot of coming into awareness as an adult is figuring out all your patterns that got embedded in you from ages 0 to 7, 7 to 14, and 14 to 21. By the time you're 21, like so much of your patterns are ingrained, and now we have to go back and fix them. So, the other thing about dealing with overwhelm and getting good at practicing the pause, taking a beat, as it were, is that you have to feel safe enough to practice the pause. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't feel that safe. That's why a lot of people don't do it. Right. And I have this, that's a whole different course, a whole different thing that is available on Udemy. or in my community. I have them in the community space. So if you like these lectures and you want deeper work, there's always more that I can give you. You have to be ready to do it, right? So for now, this is the high level overview that I hope is helpful for you. Okay, so stress and overwhelm. And again, if you want coaching on how to prioritize and all these things, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Okay. Anxiety and worry and avoidance are places we go when things are uncertain and too much. Anxiety, most people are walking around with very dysregulated nervous systems. Okay. Your dysregulated nervous system will have you in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Okay. Fight means you are like overly aggressive, critical, defensive, picking things up that you don't need to pick up. Flight means you are avoidant, dismissive, distracted, not trying to deal with it. Freeze is you don't know what to do. You get in overwhelm, you shut down. Fawn is you are a people pleaser. You're trying to keep the peace at the expense of your own safety or your own comfortability or your own happiness, right? Most people are functioning out of those things and calling it their personality. I am doing this work with people all the time. I'm like, you have false personality stuff going on. You have false identity stuff going on. We need to upgrade your identity. We need to get real about your personality. I have seen so often people who are naturally like go-getters who have just been in such a place that they're like, I'm over this, and they withdraw. People who are naturally vocal who are like, I don't want to talk anymore. Or, vice versa. People who are like really usually quiet, but they're like snapping all the time. And it is coping mechanisms. It is our dysregulated nervous system because most people are functioning in worry, they're functioning in avoidance, they're functioning in shutdown. All you have to do is look around at people to see the truth of that, right? So, why? Well, most people are tense. Most people are very, very tense. And that is anxiety. Emotion having to do with feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical bodily changes, right? When it comes to you're evaluating all these things and you have no idea how you're going to do it, you start to ruminate, you start to try to figure out, you start to do all these things, you get very anxious. And you either start to worry, oh well, what if this thing happens? What if that thing happens? What if this happens? That happens? If I lose my job, then I can't pay my bills. If I can't pay my bills, I can't take care of my kids. If I can't take care of my kids, then what's going to happen? And you've just now freaked out over a hypothetical situation that didn't happen. Do your job well, you're not going to lose it. If you do lose it, trust in the living God, he'll get you a new one. Okay? Like this is why people do not know how to function as humans. They're trying to do everything in their own sight. You're not strong enough. This is why we need a God. Okay? You're not strong enough. You're not. It's like the blind leading the blind down here. I was talking to someone the other day who was like, well, I don't even know if there is a God. I said, please stop. Okay? God is a foregone conclusion. But I'll tell you right now, people who can't even function without substances, without distractions, are not smart enough to say whether there is or is not a God. Very simple. Right. And that I know that that feels like maybe not nice to say, but I don't really care. You have to evaluate the source. When people cannot even deal with the tension in their own life without worrying, avoiding, dipping into substances, dipping into bad behaviors, dipping into all these things, no, you are not a credible source to talk to me about a lot of things. You're not. And I know people don't like that. And I, with love, am not really worried about it because your root will expose your fruit. And if you have an identity based on fear, anxiety, rejection, lies of the enemy, you're going to speak lies of the enemy. And I'm not the one. Okay. So, super important to understand here. It is okay to feel anxious. Anxiety is both a trait and a state. You can have the trait of anxiety, of being worried about a thing in the moment, or you can be living in the state of anxiety, which is where most people are living nowadays. And that's why they have no control over their mind. It's not renewed, and they can't handle their lives. Once again, the way in which we deal with anxiety is to get mindful of where we feel like we are losing control, which we really don't have, losing our capacity to handle things, I should say, where we start playing out cognitive distortions. Worst case scenario thinking is a cognitive distortion. If you have done any CBT or DBT work, you will know that language of cognitive distortions. But these are things that our brain does that are distortions of reality. Black and white thinking is one of those things. Worst case scenario, one of those things. There's a lot of them. Okay. That's a very easy Google search. Okay. So you can just Google search it. And again, like I said, I have done a lot of these modalities, so I have worked on a lot of these things. Did I have every cognitive distortion? Yes, I did. Okay. Yes, I did. Can it go away? Yes, you can. Okay. When you start to renew your mind, the cognitive distortions go away. You start to look at things more objectively. Everybody loves to prescribe the issue. Nobody loves to get the solution. All of this is healable. I know it because I've done it. And it's not healable by being in therapy for 5 years, okay? It's healable by moving and growing. If you're in therapy for a year or two, that's awesome. If you stay there too long, you get dependent on that person as a crutch, you're not doing the work anymore. We have to be in a state of growth. So, when we are in anxiety, things are too much for us, we're trying to process it, we can't. We do not get good at catching, like, hey, I'm anxious right now. What happened? Why am I anxious? Right? That's the solution. Building awareness is the solution all the time. But when we don't build awareness, we get into worry or avoidance. Worry is all those thoughts, avoidance is not showing up. I have another lecture on here called um, it's about building confidence, and it's called like the negative habit loop. And what we do is we get a new thing and we hesitate, and then we hide, and then we do some other things, okay? And what we do is we avoid. We avoid, we avoid, we avoid. Procrastination is avoidance. And really, it all goes back to I can't handle this and I don't know how to show up. That's all that is. So, what we do to counteract that is we build self awareness. You have to know yourself well enough to know where you feel like you can't handle things. We have to get good at saying, I don't know how to do this. That is a skill. I was just watching Simon Sinek on a podcast about this. It was called Collisions. And the places where we collide with people is changing. We used to call up our mom or our friend and say, hey, how do I do this thing? Or our dad, right? Hey, how do I change the spare tire? Now we just go on YouTube and look. We don't put a voice to what we don't know how to do anymore. We're just like, we have the thought, well, I don't know how to do this, and then we look it up. That's not a bad thing. But what ends up happening is we lose the awareness of the skill of being like, hey, I don't know how to handle this. And so we have to build awareness around our lives in capacity to function in situations. Like, this is really loud. I don't know how to be here right now. Right? If you have like sensory issues. Getting good at being aware of our thought life. If you've never tracked your thoughts, that's a skill, by the way. You can start to pay attention to your thoughts and your state. Like 1 minute you're like fine, everything's good. The next minute you're like, wait, I'm pissed off. What happened? Get awareness of your triggers, right? These are all things that need to be done by you with qualified professionals, therapists, coaches, people who actually have done the work, right? And so when you get really good at knowing yourself, you get less anxious. You catch it. So self-awareness is a very important skill that we all need to have, because what makes someone anxious is not going to make what someone else anxious. right? And so we have to get good at what causes us tension. And so building awareness is the way to do that. We build awareness through self-reflection with qualified people, right? You can build awareness with the Lord and with the Holy Spirit, with Jesus. I do that a lot, actually. Now I do that all the time. But it may need to be at the beginning of it, like 7, 8 years ago, I checked myself into therapy. I was like, I don't know anything about myself. I just got myself in a lot of trouble. What did I do? Right? Don't let that be you. It's been me. It's not fun. Okay. It's not fun to not know yourself. It's not fun to be like, hey, how did I make this happen? Like, how did I cause this? You're a non-player character in your own life. We want main character energy. Main character energy means you get to know yourself, reflection, and awareness. Okay. Places we go when things are uncertain or too much is not always bad. We can go into excitement, right? We're excited because we're looking forward to something, but we can also go into dread, which is we are not happy about what's coming and we don't want to deal with it. Now, both of these are very emotional reactions that are dictated by the event. They're external locus of control. I'm looking at the event and I'm letting the event dictate how I show up. We want to stop that. We want to focus more on ourselves and be like, no matter what, I'm going to do the best I can here. No matter what, I'm going to go try to reflect Christ here. All right. One of the events I am getting better at not dreading is going to probation. Okay. I go to probation regularly. And I used to really dread going to probation because of my own self. Now I'm like, okay, how can I be a blessing even when I go to probation? How can I make somebody's day better? How can I reflect the light of Christ? Right? We can change our mindsets around things, and that will change our emotional state around the thing. When you focus less on the event and more on your ability to, there by the grace of God go I can do hard things, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, it gets a lot easier. The event matters a little bit less. It's not that we don't want to feel excitement, it's just excitement means that we have a lot of enthusiasm about something that's uncertain or too much, right? So if it's uncertain or too much, even when we're excited, it's not maybe necessarily a good thing. Sometimes it, and again, this is coming out of Dr. Brene Brown's work. Sometimes it doesn't feel great to be excited. Butterflies in your stomach are not necessarily a good indication of affection or connection or any, even chemistry. It's only an indication of something's too much right now and uncertain. But I'm excited about it because I feel good about it. Right? So this is why we want to get aware of these things because it tells us more and a lot about ourselves. And we want to know ourselves really well. What does get you excited? Well, if you're excited, it still means you're feeling that something is too much or uncertain. What are you dreading? Okay, well, that's a place that you feel like it's out of your control or something bad's going to happen there or you're freaking out about it. So they're good indicators. These things are good indicators. But we need to use all this information to get more self-aware and to strengthen our own character so that we can handle things better. That's the whole point, right? And then the final places we go, as according to the book, are fear and vulnerability. When things are uncertain or too much, we can feel very afraid of it. And fear is something we all kind of go through. There's kind of a couple different types of fear. There's physical, literal fear. There's a bear chasing me. Or there is psychological fear, which is, it's not really a impending literal threat, but it feels like a threat. Most people are living in a state of psychological fear. Most people don't realize we are in a spiritual and a psychological war, and that the people that run this kind of satanic kingdom, sorry, better word I don't have, want to keep you in a fear-based state. I was just talking about this. The legal system wants to keep you in a fear-based state, right? They'll release a mugshot, they'll release the news, they'll release the sex offender list, they'll release all of these things and in a guise to make you feel safe, but actually it's just going to make you feel fearful. Oh, the criminals are everywhere. Oh, the bad things are happening all the time. Most people are living, you're only living in a state of faith or fear. That's it. At the root, you are in faith or you are in fear. You are in life or you are in death. Most people are in death. They are fearful. And that is why we look around and we see a lot of people who are in overwhelm, anxiety, depression. All of these are a root of fear. Shame, guilt, rejection, anger, anxiety, depression, they all go back to the fear-based state. And fear can be a state or a trait, right? And so and anxiety, like I said, can do that too. So people live in a state of fear all the time, and it colors all their choices a lot of the time, right? Like um I have a gun because I'm afraid. I want to protect the people. I don't have a gun because I'm afraid, right? Like people just, I'm not going to get a license because I'm afraid. I'm not going to go out after dark because I'm afraid, right? Fear is a very serious motivator that most people have. And that is why the world is uncertain and too much. And so we either respond to it in faith or in fear. And that, of course, is reflecting of the fact that we've got two kingdoms, kingdom of God and kingdom of Satan. We live in the kingdom of Satan. This is the Babylonian kingdom. If you believe in Christ, you are called to be like the kingdom of God. And so we have a lot of people who are walking around in fear. We have very few people who are good at vulnerability. Vulnerability is that space that is needed to be safe within ourselves when things feel too hard or too scary or too much. Vulnerability is the best anecdote. Being vulnerable sounds like I'm scared right now. I'm not sure how to handle this right now. I'm disappointed right now. Right? We are vulnerability, and actually that's like the main thing Dr. Brene Brown is known for is vulnerability. But vulnerability is the first date after a divorce, talking about race with a corporate or an organizational team, trying to get pregnant after a miscarriage, talking about my feelings, starting a business. Ooh, that's so vulnerable. Watching my child leave for college, right? This is according to her research. Remembering that leaders don't have all the answers, but ask important questions. It's vulnerable when people are coming to you and you're like, I don't know. Parents have that too. Parents are leaders, by the way. Leaders have influence and authority. The best leaders have integrity and intimacy, but not a lot of people don't have those things. But if you have authority and influence, you are a leader, and leaders don't have all the answers. And it is vulnerable to say, "Ooh, I don't know. I'll get back to you." You don't know any. You don't know everything. Nobody does. Vulnerability, apologizing to a colleague about how I spoke to him in a meeting. It is vulnerable to take the low seat, vulnerable to say, I'm sorry, vulnerable to come back and try to repair a relationship that ruptured. That's why more people don't do it. It's why everybody's cutting everybody off. Sometimes it's necessary, but more often than not, relationships are about rupture and repair. And we're very bad at the repair. Why? It takes vulnerability. Vulnerability is I'm safe to be okay in times of uncertainty or risk or emotional exposure, right? Sending my son to orchestra practice, knowing how badly he wants to make first chair, and knowing there's a really good chance he will not make orchestra at all. Oof. Waiting for the doctor to call back. Oof. Giving and getting feedback, getting back up to bat after striking out. right? These are uncomfortable and difficult experiences. They're vulnerable experiences. And all of it has to do with going back into the thing after you've gotten unfavorable results a first time. Vulnerability is very much wrapped up in safety and courage. And more people don't do it because most people are in fear, and fear-based state is cowardly state. Right here on this slide, whether you like it or not, is the difference between being a coward and being courageous. And that is not that you feel the fear. Everybody feels fear. It happens. It's a short response that's high alert. Everybody feels fear. It is, how do you handle it? You pretend like you're not afraid. You armor up. What you resist persists. You are pushing down fear. You are repressing your emotions. You're going to be in a fear-based state. You're going to get anxiety. It's not going to go anywhere. You acknowledge the fear. You be vulnerable. You share it with somebody. Share it with the Lord. I do that a lot, all the time, actually. I'm always journaling to the Lord about the places I'm scared, places I feel inadequate, places I feel like I don't have it. When you get good at that, you can get stronger and better at vulnerability, at courage, at sharing your story, at helping the brethren, quite frankly. And so, cultivating safety in yourself allows for vulnerability and it allows you to scale back on the fear. But vulnerability, and I don't know if this is coming through correctly for you guys. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. Sorry if that's backward for you, right? And Brene Brown does a lot of vulnerability and courage work, right? Dare to Lead. That's her dissertation was on vulnerability and what she found there and all the things. So it is so necessary to get good at being vulnerable. And I'm just going to read her words here because I think they're so good. I underlined them all. In a world where perfectionism, pleasing, and proving are used as armor to protect our egos and our feelings, it takes a lot of courage to show up and be all in when we can't control the outcome. This is also why we have a huge commitment problem in this day and age, because you need to be all in without knowing the outcome. It's a risk, and people are afraid. It also takes discipline and self-awareness to understand what to share and with whom. Vulnerability, and I quoted it here. Well, I didn't quote it. I should have. But vulnerability is not oversharing. It's sharing with people who have earned the right to hear our stories and our experiences. Vulnerability is not a weakness. Okay. It's a great measure of courage. And I will just say this. We want to get better at being courageous. We want to get better at being warriors. Warriors are not afraid. They are just equipped and they do it anyway, right? And so, and again, I have all these resources for you because I have a course on moving from witness to warrior in the community on Udemy. Like I have courses on moving you into these identity upgrades. But right now, you need to know about yourself. And this will be a series that we go through because there's a lot here. So this is just the places we go, some of the places. It's not an exhaustive list of places we go when things are uncertain and too much. And it is presented in this text, Dr. Brene Brown. I'm not putting quotation marks. Please know that like 87% of the slides are her words. Like the definitions are her words, just because you're going to see this for the next little bit. So just settle it in your mind right now. I didn't want to, when I typed it all up, put everything in quotations. Normally the definitions and some of the things on the right side will be her. Some of it is me. Like the second bullet point here, get safe in yourself, trust in the Lord. Those are Dr. Michelina things, okay? So there's a mix. I already told you this. There's a mix of her and a mix of me. If you've got the book, it'll be very easy for you to follow along and find out where I quoted her without putting the quotations up. This whole thing is based on this book. A lot of this is coming from her. This is not coming from me. Okay, this is me jumping back into English literature teacher. Okay. And so just know that because I will do it again and I'm not I'm not plagiarizing here, okay? Because I'm crediting the source material. I'm not saying this is my work. I'm saying I'm presenting it. Okay, I want to make that very, very clear because there are differences. Some of the work is mine, but also I usually tend to let you know, like, oh, this is a Michelina framework. This is a Michelina original. This is not. This is a Dr. Brene Brown, really great resource, really great research. And again, you don't need me for reading this book, but if you prefer to have it taught to you in this way, please keep hanging out. We will talk more about it. Again, the lecture series will continue as it does. If you like it, then I'm happy. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't need to watch it, okay? But other than that, if you have questions, comments, concerns, you can reach out to me in the ways that I'm available, however you're watching this. So if you're watching it on like YouTube, drop a comment. If you're watching it in the community, just DM me. If you're watching it on Udemy, write a message, right? There's a whole bunch of places you might be watching it. Um, and if you do like it, I'm really glad. If you want to do deeper work, I promise you I've got a lot of options for that. Joining the community, I think, is the best option. But if you want to do kind of on your own self work, I've got reflection guides on Amazon. I am available for one-on-one coaching. That is a little bit more of a time and investment sorry, that's a bit more of a pricey investment on time and money. So it depends on how much work you want to do. All that to say, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next video where we talk about places we go when we compare. See you there.